Welcome to Forum 3, History of the United States 512 at Liberty University. My name is Adam Wilson, and the topic of discussion is Thomas Jefferson's legacy. I would argue most Americans recognize and remember Thomas Jefferson's legacy through his many accomplishments and titles, including author of the Declaration of Independence, author of the Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom, the third President of the United States, purchase of the Louisiana Territory, the Lewis and Clark Expedition, founder of the University of Virginia, and most importantly, his role and title as a founding father of this great nation. With all this said, there is a sect of the population that note a different legacy for Thomas Jefferson, focused on the complexity of slavery in the late 1700s through the 1800s, and the potential relationship Jefferson had with one of his slaves at his plantation in Monticello. First, we'll address the claim that Thomas Jefferson had a relationship with it and fathered children with Sally Hemings, who was one of his slaves at his Monticello plantation. This line of thought has been debated over since Jefferson's first term as president. Since then, there has been a conflict over the issue. The Thomas Jefferson Foundation Research Committee and most historians believe that Thomas Jefferson was the father of the 6 children of Sally Hemings. However, the results of DNA tests conducted by Dr. Eugene Foster and the geneticist team in 1998, while questioning the position of the Jefferson-Hemings's personal relationship, established that the claim could be neither confirmed nor denied. Ultimately, this leads me to believe that we will never know if the claim that Jefferson fathered children with Hemings is true or false. Regardless, I do not believe that most Americans care, as the idea of slavery was widely accepted during this time of history, along with accounts of slave owners having relationships with their slaves. Which leads me to my next point. By the 1800s, Virginia's most valuable commodity was slaves. Opinions and divides started to grow in the nation. Jefferson described slavery as a moral depravity, a hideous blot. He took legal strides in order to uphold his views. In 1778, he drafted a Virginia law that banned the import of slaves from Africa. In 1784, he suggested a law that would ban slavery in the Northwest Territories. Jefferson thought a decision to liberate slaves would need to be a democratic process that did not just entitle a few planters to free their slaves. He promoted a plan of gradual emancipation from the 1700s until he died in 1826. His plan entailed the transatlantic slave trade would be abolished. Then, slave owners would improve slavery's most violent features by bettering living conditions and moderating physical punishment. The third step of his plan, that all born into slaves after a certain date would be declared free. And finally, total abolition. A belief that today would be considered a controversial belief. Jefferson supported the removal of newly freed slaves from the United States. The inadvertent effect of Jefferson's plan was that his goal of improving slavery as a step towards ending it was also used as an argument for slavery to continue. Pro-slavery advocates after Jefferson's death reasoned that if slavery was something that could be bettered, abolition was pointless. The reason that he supported removal of newly freed slaves is Jefferson believed that white Americans and enslaved blacks started 2 separate nations who would never be able to live together peacefully in the same nation. Jefferson believed that American slaves deported to Africa or West Indies was necessary for emancipation. One of the quotes that Jefferson is known for saying about slavery is that continuing slavery was like holding a wolf by the ear. We can neither hold him nor safely let him go. Jefferson thought free slaves in America would result in an extensive race war. He thought it would be as ruthless and fatal as the previous slave revolt in Haiti during the 1790s. Jefferson was obviously torn in what he thought because he also believed that to continue slavery was part of America in favor of freedom, and then part of it was in favor of continuing slavery. Would inevitably end in civil war that would destroy the Union. Jefferson's later prediction was correct. In 1861, the contest over slavery sparked a bloody civil war and the creation of 2 nations, the Union and the Confederacy, in the place of one. It is also true that it's always going to be on the individual who decides of how they are going to remember Thomas Jefferson. Whether it is his role as founding father of this great nation, or his involvement in early American slavery. I would like to conclude with what Thomas Jefferson himself wanted to be remembered for. On his tomb reads, "Here was buried Thomas Jefferson, author of the Declaration of American Independence, the Statute of Virginia for Religious Freedom, and father of the University of Virginia, born April 2nd, 1743, died July 4th, 1826. Thank you for tuning in. Till next time.